In regards to Biscayne Bay, you know, it's this is a compilation of certain factors. It's the water temperature.
And bingo was his name. Oh, well, look at this. Turkey Point had a situation. How they can kind of get out of it. They can say, oh, well, the temperature got really hot. Well, here what you have is a power reactor that overheated due to rising steam generator level. It looked like their power was tripped. There was a low pressure Feedwater into the control valve failing to open with rising steam generator levels. So it looks like they had initially had to bring it down a little bit to 92, and then it had to go all the way down to 0. And their cooling canals probably let out huge amounts highly hot water that went out of that reactor, and it caused a huge fish kill on Biscayne Bay, many dead fish. So how they've been getting out is say, oh well, low oxygen levels. They've been coming out there and supposedly pumping oxygen into this radiated, heated water. Just mind-boggling that you have Department of the Derm. They're just saying, well, you know, we gotta look at the nutrition inputs, and we just don't have seagrass there. But the elephant in the room is Turkey Point. That it's not a coincidence that you have this power reactor that's in a hot standby and it had to be shut down because the Feedwater system wasn't going in there properly, and then they had to let out a bunch of hot ass water, and then all these fish died. So they started seeing this all the way up the bay. Once you start seeing animals that are this largely affected by low dissolved oxygen conditions, you're really in bad shape as a water body and environment, said Silverstein. So this is potentially looking like an unfolding emergency. A station board member first reported a smell. My day's Division of Environmental Resources are investigating the kill. So they're only investigating the oxygen levels. They're not actually testing for contaminants. Yeah, it's just really thorough investigation you guys are doing there. So, yeah, we're going to check the water every 15 minutes. But only for oxygen, not the other minerals and radioactive particles. Because we really don't want to tell you what's going on. So they said the oxygen levels are really low. And this is why they're hugging the shore. Yeah, chronic issues like stormwater, fertilizer, and septic tanks. But let's just ignore this overheated reactor that we had to close down. And it has this ancient canal system that lets out the hot water right into the bay. The obvious elephant in the room. So finally here you actually see it. Pollution from the Turkey Point cooling canals cause problems. Somebody at least willing to say it. It's likely a combination of all those things. But if you hear from Carlos Jimenez, the tyrant that's making everybody wear a mask, mandating mask outside, well, he just says, well, we're just going to circulate the water, dilute. That's his only solution, bruh. Let's just dilute. And that's what they've actually depended on. They depend on the Gulf Stream to take out this water, hopefully move it quickly. But the Gulf Stream's actually been moving a little bit. Florida International University, the ones that developed the bridge that fell down and killed a couple people, they're going to take some water samples for harmful algae blooms, and they hope to have the results soon. Maybe spreading. Ooh, they got cooked. So look how retarded this is. This is their solution. It's the cure, guys.
New pumps installed at 3 South Florida parks, part of an effort to save sea life. Now, officials say thousands of fish have turned up dead in Biscayne Bay because of a lack of oxygen. And as 7's Robin Simmons tells us, a new effort is trying to pump life back into the bay.
How about Turkey Point sending like 1,000-degree water into the bay?
Biscayne Bay for the fish who are facing crisis.
We are all hands on deck to figure out how to get oxygen back into the water. We've had moments where there's zero oxygen, dissolved oxygen, and fish are simply suffocating. Millions of fish are dying.
Oxygen levels have been depleted by hot weather, pollution, and increased algae. An Estonian swimmer who started doing her training in Biscayne Bay after the coronavirus shut down pools says it's not just fish.
We have been seeing not only dead fishes, but also dead birds. We saw a dead manatee like a month ago.
We called the port director of the Port of Miami last night, Juan Curla, and he was able to really quickly provide, at about 7 a.m. this morning, fire boats to go to North
An advocacy group for Miami's waterways also reaching out to the city with an idea, repurposing existing equipment. 3 pumps set up at Miami parks.
Convert our stormwater pumps, which normally take water out of the streets during a hurricane, and convert them into aerators to put oxygen back in the water.
Rachel Silverstein says it's the largest fish kill ever recorded in Biscayne Bay. If the fish are left to decay in the water, the bacteria could compound the problem. So they're asking everyone to do what Miami Commissioner Ken Russell is doing, pull them out of the water and deposit them in bins for compost.
It's time to make lasting change here. We know what's causing these problems. It is stormwater runoff, it is septic tanks, it is sewage, and it is fertilizer use. And all of those things compounding over a long period of time. And it's time to get really serious about fixing it because we're losing the bay.
Scientists from FIU plan to collect samples to check the oxygen levels of the bay sometime today. Reporting in the Newsplex, Robin Simmons, 7 News.
Now at 11, the search for what's causing a smelly situation in Biscayne Bay. Thousands of dead fish washing up for miles. The problem is so bad, there's a warning tonight to stay out of the water.
So why are all of the fish dying, and how much longer will this go on? CBS 4's Jessica Vallejo went looking for some answers.
It's crazy. It's like, I've never seen anything like this before.
It was an unusual sight Tuesday morning along the shoreline of the Margaret Pace Park.
And they're all like swollen. It's nasty.
As thousands of dead fish appeared floating throughout the water for miles, and many still remain. Biscayne Bay residents say the smell is overwhelming.
It smells bad. Pretty embarrassing to come out here and you want to enjoy the view, and all you're doing is you're smelling the filth.
People say they are still alarmed and shocked, still concerned what's causing the fish to die.
Was it a sewage leak?
What caused it? The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission told CBS 4 News they have received many calls of fish killed in the bay. They released a statement saying, quote, "Our researchers currently do not know the cause of the kill. They suspect low dissolved oxygen." The FWC is currently working with the Miami Waterkeepers team collecting water samples.
We have to reduce nutrient pollution that's getting into Biscayne Bay. This is a red flag.
Kelly Cox, the general counsel for the Miami Waterkeeper, told us over a phone conversation that this could be the result of not just water pollution, but also low oxygen in the water that is caused by heat, which does not allow the water to circulate properly.
Sometimes happen in the summertime, particularly in areas that don't have a lot of circulation, like the canals. But this is alarming for us because this is over a large area in the open bay. We have never seen something like this happen, in our lifetimes in Biscayne Bay.
And as you can see, dead fish still remain being brushed up here towards the shoreline. The FWC tell us they should have the results within this week, but do listen up. Cox with the Miami Waterkeeper is advising people to not go inside the bay at this time. In Biscayne Bay, I'm Jessica Vallejo.
In that part of the bay are low, and so we've had a fish kill. How to prevent that in the future is we will have a report on the status of the state of the bay, and the bay is not one uniform area. The southern bay is doing a lot better than certain other parts of the bay. We're a little bit more closed off. If you notice that part of the bay, it's shallow. It also doesn't circulate as well as the southern bay, and so you'll have problems with that. And so there's a report out on it, and there's measures that are going to be have to be taken, but those measures aren't going to happen overnight. And so if the conditions replicate themselves in the near future, you may have, more fish kills. But Lee Hefty from Durham is here, and he can answer that question in a little bit greater detail. So Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And that's true. This particular phenomenon was caused by low dissolved oxygen levels. We were working with the state of Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission and DEP evaluating it. It was not related to any toxic algae. It really seems to be high temperature and low dissolved oxygen. And what we're looking at is water quality throughout the basin and up into the watershed to see what water quality inputs are coming in from the Little River, looking at potential nutrient sources to see what may be the actual cause and see what action needs to be taken to minimize water quality impacts.
Hello. Mayor, just again, if you or the gentleman from Durham can just kind of reiterate what are the steps that need to be taken going forward. I know there's going to be a report, but what are the things that need to be done so we don't have a problem like this again? Could it be with filtration or things like that?
Well, I talked about that today with Durham, and one of the things we have to somehow look and see how we can recirculate the water better in that area. The reasons why the Southern Bay is doing so much better than the Northern Bay is that it's much more open and the water circulates. That means that the water temperature remains, much cooler. That portion of the bay is pretty well enclosed. It's also shallow. Large portions of it are shallow.
This guy's a broken record, right? That's our mayor. Pathetic. So he just wants to circulate the radioactive heated water from Turkey Point. That's his solution.
And so it's not a simple solution to it. We also need to look at what nutrients are actually being, the runoff that's coming from rain, from the mainland. It's dumping into that area that's causing, some of the problems. I know the seagrasses have also basically disappeared from that area, and that's very important to filter a lot of the nutrients out of the water. And so this is not something that you can snap your fingers and say, gee, it's never going to happen again. It'll happen again, and the solutions aren't something that you can do overnight. So again, Lee, if you have anything to add, please do.
No, Mr. Mayor, that's a great explanation. It's one of those things that for a number of years, that basin has done fine. I've been with Durham for myself 30 years. I've seen that basin full of seagrass. In more recent years, it's had some challenges where there's been a decline in seagrasses. So what we're looking at is we're looking at changes in water quality and what we need to do to make sure that stormwater runoff and any other nutrient inputs are minimized and reduced so that we shift the ecology back to a seagrass-based solution.
Thank you very much. Let's go now to Alyssa from NBC6.
Rising steam generator level. Failure to open. Steam stop valve position indication lost. All rods are inserted. Decay heat is being removed through normal secondary systems. Please like, share, subscribe to the channel. And if you haven't hit that bell, hit the notifications button to get all my recent updates. Have a good one.